smoking.
As you can tell, that thing is smoking. I know you guys seen that thing smoking. Started smoking. Bike turns on, idles pretty well, but, oh, that thing is smoking. Anyways, hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Frank's Garage. In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to work on a 1998 YZ250. All right, so we go ahead and take this thing apart. Let's go by busting this guy out with a 10mm. Peep the fresh air filter.
Okay, make sure you take that fuel line off before you take the tank off. Okay, now go ahead and start loosening this screw.
Then you want to loosen this guy here. It lets our carb rotate. So then this thing is out. This is your needle and needle slide. Let's go ahead and take that subframe off. Freaking not even on there. It should just slide right out. So it's gonna have gas, so make sure you go dispose of it properly in a safe container. So I've disposed of the fuel in a safe container. You guys ready to take this thing apart? Let's go.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take these hoses off and try to remember where they go, if possible, because they do serve a purpose, believe it or not.
Hey, those screws are extremely easy to strip. Just make sure you don't strip it.
Somebody come get her, she dancing like a strip.
Okay, so you're about to watch me adapt and overcome. I almost stripped the screw, and what I did was I took some vice grips and I locked it on and loosened it.
It beats stripping one of these out and then you're trying to like drill one out. Believe me, it sucks. Been there. So this thing looks pretty clean. See, you have a little gasket that runs around there. This one looks like it's kind of beat up. This is a 6mm. So let's go ahead and remove. We'll go ahead and remove this thing here. Check it out. RD45. You want to check to see if these are clogged. You should be able to see light through the center of these jets. We can take this thing out by pushing this little pin. You see that little pin? Pops out. That's what holds the actual floats. So this whole thing, right, comes out. Oh. Sure, we take this little guy out. Air screw. Put a spring in there and over it's out. It's being ghetto, but we're gonna go ahead and use this guy to clean up the carburetor. Let me show you guys what I do. This is how I do it, because everybody does it a little different, but this is how I do it. So I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. All right. Use eye protection because this stuff will splash back in your eyes and it hurts. So we're about to hit the air compressor. I'll put this O-ring on here. So note that the The idle jet that came in the rebuild kit is a 48. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. There you go, you should be able to see that, 48. The other one, if you guys remember, was a 45. Yep. It's got to be fairly tight, but don't overdo it. It's literally finger tight, you know, you don't need to crank on it with a wrench or anything, or stick or pilot or idle jet, whatever you want to call it.
So I'm going to go ahead and just throw in the jets that came with the Carb Rebuild kit just so I can have a baseline to tune from.
This is pretty much the setup you'll have. And believe it or not, this bike didn't have the washer or the O-ring. So we install this as so. I'll set it to 1.5 just for the standard. I wanted to. It was still in decent shape, so. Okay, we'll go ahead and adjust the float height now.
Set your carburetor at a 45-degree angle and ensure that the little needle doesn't get compressed.
With no pressure, it just sits there so that, see that? You have full leverage of how far up or down it goes. And pretty much you're measuring this float height to this surface of the carburetor.
Every bike's going to have a different tolerance, so make sure you refer to your technical manual.
Would you look at that?
Nice and clean.
Okay, so after wasting all that time, I still had to end up loosening the throttle cable up at the throttle anyways.
Much easier, see? So if you loosen it up at the actual throttle.
Okay, so go ahead and just loosen this up with a 6mm as well. Okay, so we'll go ahead and set the needle back to the stock setting, which happens to be the 3rd line down.
Put the needle back in. I'm going to do same as reverse. See, it's gonna go. I'm not trying to get it so that you guys can see it, but it's gonna be difficult. Just slide it into that little slot, so you know it runs right up down the middle. Boom. There you're on.
Okay, so I almost forgot about this little gasket here. Okay, so I'm taking this reed cage off mainly because it's a good time to inspect it and make sure that it's not messed up.
Lucky for me, I had some V-Force reeds laying around and they happen to fit. Let's go, man.
So this little gasket can be a little tricky to actually make it stay on while you're trying to install it back onto the carburetor. Some people use silicone or something, but if you play with it enough, you should be able to get it on there without problem. Okay, so make sure you tighten your clamps down all the way.
This is what I adjusted earlier. It was almost all the way out.
Alright, cool. So she's ready to fire up, man.
Hey, and as usual, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you guys.